That it is all right to start uh, with any level of understanding, but the level of understanding should evolve. Therefore, Prabhupada is explaining the karma yogis, they are called as sarvakama, and the jnana yogis, that is the jnanis, so the karmis are called as sarvakama, and now the jnanis, they are called as mokshakama. So it's all right to start with some partial or indirect understanding of the Supreme Lord, but so it's all right to start from that platform. But the progress means that one should evolve in his understanding. And the evolution is to be able to see the Supreme Lord empowering all the various demigods, empowering all the various devatas. So the Supreme Lord's love is so great that the Lord is even ready to offer some temporary titillations to the living entity so that he can be satisfied with the time being and open his heart and mind to a much more lasting happiness. That is the mercy of the Supreme. And for one who can understand and relate to the Supreme Lord, there the Bhagavatam verse says that there is no need to worship them, the demigods, exclusively and explicitly. Because implicitly, all of them get worshipped when we worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. That is the point. So, the progress in the Vedic journey should ensure that the purpose of the Vedas is fulfilled. Or if we see that the purpose of the Vedas is getting fulfilled, that means that the progress on the Vedic journey is taking place. But if this purpose is not fulfilled, that means that the progress is only not taking place. Like that. Vedescha sarverahamev vedya. The Vedic journey should take one to loving reciprocation with the Supreme Personality of God directly face to face. That's what it should take one to. And if that is happening progressively, then one is progressing. Otherwise, one is not progressing. Either he's stagnant or he's regressing. So now the beautiful point comes here that see for what to do for a sadhaka now. The point is now you see for a sadhaka, okay, whether this whether what I am practicing is taking me towards the Supreme Lord or not. How do you ensure that? One of the very easy and very potent ways to ensure is that to first catch and latch on to the goal that I want to revive my relationship, loving relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So to latch on to the Supreme to the right goal. And when one catches and latches to the right goal, when one catches and latches to the right goal, it becomes easier to remain alert and on track. That's the point. So that so one is very clear, is it not? So if the right goal is there, that yes, I need to develop my loving service towards Krishna, is it not? Then so now whatever steps and pathway and trajectory were taken, if you match that with that goal, then you see the trajectory, the choice of the trajectory will become proper. But if one is just awaiting for some revolutions, some evolving thoughts and revolutions to come, that path may take a long time, very long time. That path may take a very long time. That's the only thing, is it not? So rather, you see, a bhakti yogi is even more intelligent. Why? Because not only he catches on to the right goal that I want to develop my lost eternal relationship with Krishna and eternally go on serving Krishna, Mama Janmani, Janmani Shwari Bhavatal Bhakti Rahati people. But so not just one has kept that goal, and now one is trying to see, okay, how to realize that goal progressively. But actually, in a bhakti, in the process of bhakti yoga, one also starts a sincere sadhaka. See, a sadhaka also start practicing all the activities of loving reciprocation. So the goal is developing pure love of Krishna, reciprocating with Krishna eternally, offering service to Krishna for the pleasure of Krishna. But the activities one starts doing right away from day one. The only thing which happens is that through jnana, through realization, or no, through realizations, revelations, purification of heart, one realizes these the one realizes the goal and the activities, or one realizes the importance of both of them more, and thus one is able to go deeper into more quality service, uh, and with deeper feelings of Sharanagati. That's what happens. So, so this is the point, and this is an intelligent protocol to keep the goal always in mind. Yes, the goal is uh, loving reciprocation with the Supreme Lord, loving service to the Supreme Lord as the only exclusive priority of our lives, life after life, eternally, as a goal. So the goal has to be kept in mind. So this is very true for a sadhaka also. Many times, see, we get disturbance starts coming when we forget the goal. We forget the goal. That's why it is said, the Vedic scriptures are telling that actually the sadhaka should keep reminding himself, okay, for whom I am doing this service. Hmm. And just to increase my spiritual resume, that okay, you know, this Prabhu has preached to these many people and so many candidates, the scores are rising and all that. So or we want to genuinely serve, please the spiritual master, please the supreme personality of God. That's the point. So one has to keep reminding himself that yes, my efforts are there to please the supreme personality of God. My body, my mind, my words, my intelligence should always be disposed in the direction of pleasing the supreme personality of God. Okay, so there is a question here. Okay, while preaching, many times we come across followers of other practitioners like Buddhism, impersonalism, and many times they are attached to those thoughts. Their reading our books makes them feel incongruency in what they believe, and they even feel practices of bhakti as sentimental. How should we help them realize the truth? Okay, how should we help them realize the truth? Okay, so one thing which is very important on part of a preacher is that not to be polite, to be loving, to be caring, and patient, mm, but persistent. So we need not be fearful. The first principle is we need not be fearful, saying that oh, he's a Buddhist follower, emphasis, he's never going to listen. And sometimes our devotees become afraid. He says, Prabhu, this fellow has a lot of Mayavad in his head. Better drop him off. Hmm. So sometimes our devotees only become too fearful. They say, okay, this fellow has too much of Mayavad in his head. Maybe we drop him off and all that. So those kind of attitudes may not be very healthy on the part of a preacher. That so we humbly present uh, that how impersonal understanding and personal understanding are just different ways of looking at the Lord. So rather, so we have to explain that. See, getting the point is you have to make them understand this way that you see, impersonal understanding is one aspect of understanding the Lord. When we are presenting, or when one is presented with a personal understanding of the Supreme Lord, it's not that the impersonal understanding is getting eroded, but it's just that one is getting even more complete picture of who the Lord is it not? Because Krishna actually has both the aspects, the impersonal and the personal. And one should be able to develop understanding and appreciation for both. So, okay, the impersonalists understand only one aspect. When they understand another aspect, their understanding, their love, their relationship with the Lord is deepening. Is it not? So, this is something which we have to impart to them, that, okay, this is not contradictory, but it is broadening the perspectives. That's all. It's not that Krishna doesn't have impersonal aspect. You see, previous verse Prabhupada is speaking so beautifully. How to understand the impersonal aspect of the Lord? Rasaham Suganteya. In Bhagavad Gita, impersonalism is described because the Lord is working. So Bhava ki jnana balakriya cha, the Lord is working through his different energies. So which are acting simultaneously and spontaneously. So that's the point. So, but then the Supreme Lord is there beneath, behind. So the energies are acting. Then there is the personality, and under whose sanction, under whose superintendence, everything is working out, as if automatically, as if naturally. That is the Lord's arrangement and prowess. That's how great the Supreme Lord is. So, so and carefully, peacefully, and politely, one should help the person come to this level. So it's not that, okay, that getting personal understanding means that, okay, whatever one understood on the impersonal front before, everything will go null and void. No, it's just the natural promotion of of the understanding becoming holistic. That's the point. And as far as bhakti being sentimental, you see, the point is we have to explain that see, having sentiments is never a problem. The problem is ignorance or knowledge. So that means basically the problem is when one is in ignorance. Sentiment in ignorance will enhance and further the illusion, is it not? Just like if a person is drunk, he's in ignorance, and he is having sentiments. He feels attachment for the gutter. He's not ready to come out. He's thinking that is his home. So that's a big mess. So that's a big problem, because the person is not ready to come out. But if person is in knowledge and he has sentiments, like somebody is having sentiments towards his nation, like somebody is having sentiments towards humanity, towards environment. No, so this type of sentiments are very good. Why? Because that will help that person to render service on that track in a much more impactful way. So you see, without so the idea is that See, people say, okay, I don't want to identify, I don't want to invest any feelings and sentiments, I want to be aloof. The point is, if you are aloof, you really cannot drive it so nicely. That's the point. So we cannot be aloof and drive it. You know? One cannot be aloof and drive it. One has to enter it, is it not? That's the point. One has to enter it. So that's the whole point. You know, so when one identify with something, one can do it much better, is it not? Like nowadays, in now there are people, they are expert at a certain subject, but they don't like it. They have developed expertise, they don't like it, so they are aloof and doing it. You know, but they cannot do it much further. Whereas if there is an equivalent person who has developed similar level of skills and expertise, but whose heart is in it, he will be able to do it much better. You know, and for much longer. You know, with more resilience and grit and all that. So that's the point. So sentiments being invested is a good thing. Hmm. Without that, one may not be able to go far. That's the point. So therefore, bhakti means sentiment with knowledge. Just like even in entrepreneurship, they ask, okay, what is your story? And many times people say, okay, my story is that, I suffered this problem, and I was burning and I wanted to create a solution and now I'm offering that solution to humanity. Oh, so people value it a lot. Oh, yes, yes. Suppose somebody is making some biomedical device, or that is for particular disease, because he himself he faced in his family, terrible consequences of that particular disease. So now he's inspired to do something for that disease. So these kind of stories are considered very nice. Why? Because see, he's busy, he's doing business, but he has a personal feeling and sentiment, and because of that, he's ready to face all the hardships to drive it and make it successful. That's why such a story, people, the investors, the no, will more easily put faith, or they'll be more easily appreciated because they understand because this person is with heart, he's involved in it. So he will face it, he will drive it. Let's invest in him. Like that is the mentality. So you see personal story, or if if one is just a Babaji, he says no, this is very nice, everybody can enjoy, but I don't personally use it. You yourself, are not involved. Who is going to? Is it not? That's the whole point. Got the point, right? Hmm. Okay, take 63 now. Yeah, we've read 62, right? त्वमेकाद्य पुरुषः सुप्तशक्ति तया रजा सत्वतमो विभिद्यते महानहं खं मरुदग्निवार्धरः सुरार्षयो भूतगण idam yata. My dear Lord, you are the only supreme person, the cause of all causes. Before the creation of this material world, your material energy remains in a dormant condition. When your material energy is agitated, the three qualities, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance, act. And as a result, the total material energy, egotism, ether, air, fire, water, earth, and all the various demigods and saintly persons become manifest. Thus, the material world is created. If the whole creation is one, that is nothing but the Supreme Lord or Vishnu, then why do the expert transcendentalists make such categories as are found in the verse above? Why do learned and expert scholars distinguish between matter and spirit? In answer to these questions, the Lord says, Lord Shiva is answering this question. Lord Shiva says that spirit and matter are not creations of various philosophers, but they are manifested by Lord Vishnu as described in the verse. In this verse, Tvam Eka Adya Purusha. Spiritual and material categories are made possible by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But actually, there are no such distinctions for the living entities who are eternally engaged in the service of the Lord. There is only a material world for those who want to imitate the Lord and become enjoyous. Indeed, the material world is nothing but forgetfulness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the creator of everything. So, the distinction between matter and spirit is created by the sleeping energy of the Lord. When the Lord wants to give some facility to those living entities who want to imitate the Lord in his enjoyment, it is only meant for them that this material world, it is only for them that this material world is created by the dormant energy of the Lord. For instance, sometimes children want to imitate their mother and cook in the kitchen, and at such a time, the mother supplies them with some toys so that the children can imitate her cooking. Similarly, when some of the living entities want to imitate the activities of the Lord, this material cosmic manifestation is created for them by the Lord. The material creation is therefore caused by the Lord through his material energy. It is by the glance of the Lord that the material energy is activated. At that time, the three material qualities are set into motion. And the material energy is manifested first in the form of Mahat Tattva, then egotism, then ether, then air, fire, water, and earth. After the creation, the living entities are impregnated in the cosmic manifestation. And they emerge as Lord Brahma and the seven great rishis, then as different demigods. From the demigods come humans, animals, trees, birds, beasts, and everything else. The original cause, however, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as verified herein. Tvameka Adya Purusha. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 5.1. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Those who are covered by the material energy cannot understand that the origin of everything is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. This is summarized in the Vedanta aphorism Janmadiyasya Yataha. Krishna also confirms this in Bhagavad Gita 10.8. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. I am the source of all the spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. When Krishna says that he is the origin of everything, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava, he means that he is even the source of Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the Purushavatars, the material manifestation, and all the living entities within the material world. Actually, the word Prabhava, creation, refers only to the material world. For since the spiritual world is eternally existing, there is no question of creation. In the Chaturshloki of Srimad Bhagwatam, the Lord says, Ahameva samevagre. I was existing in the beginning before the creation. In the Vedas, it is also said, Eko Narayana Asit. Before the creation, there was only Narayana. This is also confirmed by Shankaracharya. Narayana Paro Vyaktat. Narayana is transcendental to the creation. Gita Bhashya, since all the activities of Narayana are spiritual, When Narayan said, "Let there be creation," the creation was all spiritual. The material only exists for those who have forgotten that Narayan is the original cause. Here, the Lord is explaining about the dormant or the sleeping energy of the Lord. The material world is the sleeping energy of the Lord or the dormant energy of the Lord. Which means what? It puts a living entity to sleep. It puts the living entity in a dormant condition. Actually, loving service to the Supreme Lord. Uh, actually, loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord is the very activity of the living entity. When the living entity is not serving the Supreme Lord, he's in a dormant position because he is not actually doing the very activities he's meant to be doing. So that's why he's called as dormant. Or we say that the living entity is sleeping because he's simply hovering on illusory grounds. That's what it is happening. That's what is happening. So real activity is Krishna consciousness. So material world is only so therefore Prabhupada is saying that material world is a place of forgetfulness of the Supreme Lord. So it is a place and ground where one can easily forget the Supreme Lord and in that way try to imitate the Lord. And Prabhupada gives the example of the toy kitchen. So in a toy kitchen, everything is being done, but the prime goal, that is the hunger, is not satisfied. Cooking is done, people have eaten also, but the hunger is not satisfied. That is the meaning of toy kitchen, is it not? Because what is being cooked there is not vasta vastu. Similarly, you see material world, all arrangements are done, everything is cooked, prepared. Even if one attains success, still the satisfaction of heart will not be there. The hunger will still not be satiated because it is not vasta vastu. Just because it is not a vasta vastu. So Krishna consciousness is the real flavor, mm, not some titillation or illusory. Krishna consciousness is the real flavor, actually. So, so we see as this material world is created, as Srila Prabhupada is explaining here, these three qualities, goodness, passion, ignorance, they manifest. These are three different layers or degrees of covering or conditioning, as we understand it as. We go to the next verse. Srishtam swa satyedam anupravishta chaturvidam puram atmam sakena ato vidustam purusham shantamanta bhungte rishikair madhusaragamya. My dear Lord, after creating by your own potencies, you enter within the creation in four kinds of forms. Being within the heart of the living entities, you know them and know how they are enjoying their senses. The so called happiness of this material creation is exactly like the bees' enjoyment of honey after it has been collected in the honeycomb. The material cosmic manifestation is an exhibition of the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But because dull matter cannot work independently, the Lord Himself enters within this material creation in the form of partial expansion, Paramatma, and He enters also by His separated parts and parcels, that is, the living entities. In other words, both the living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead enter into the material creation just to make it active. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.5, Apareyam midastavanyam prakritim viddhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat. Besides this inferior nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is a superior energy of mind which consists of all the living entities who are struggling within the material nature and are sustaining the universe. Since the material world cannot work independently, the living entities
Last one है आप कृष्णा 2807 को वाईफाई कनेक्ट करो तो KRSN K कैपिटल यहाँ KRSN डालो 2807
क्या नाम है वाईफाई का?
शायद ना ये गैलेक्सी वाला गैलेक्सी वाला
कोई वाईफाई नहीं, गैलेक्सी
गैलेक्सी के नाम से कोई वाईफाई नहीं था मेरे से आएगा मेरा तो कनेक्टेड
क्या
मेरे फोन पर टच नहीं था गैलेक्सी दिख रहा है एयरटेल दिख रहा है एयरटेल एयरटेल से कनेक्ट है कुछ
Okay, is it audible?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
That's fine.
एयरटेल
Okay, let's go ahead. I'm sorry. Okay. We were reading Bhagavad Gita 7.5. Besides this inferior nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is a superior energy of mind which consists of the living entities who are struggling with the material nature and are sustaining the universe. Since the material world cannot work independently, the living entities enter into the material manifestation in four different types of bodies. The word Chaturvidham is significant in this verse. There are four types of living entities born in the material world. Some are born by the way of